Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the Ingram in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to my new podcast, Analog After Dark. This is episode number 1. I am here with Leland, a buddy of mine, and we are going to do a music-related podcast. It's not going to be just about vinyl records, but other music-related stuff. You know, we're going to have a music news segment, is going to be our lead segment. Then we are going to have a talk music segment to where we essentially talk about just could be vinyl records, anything music related that's not necessarily news per se. Maybe a record that I picked up or Leland picked up. And then we're going to have a question and answer segment at the end. But that is going to actually require viewer participation. So right now I have a few questions selected, but in the future for future podcasts, and our hope is on this to do this as a weekly podcast. If you'd like to ask a question and have it featured on the podcast, go ahead and leave the question below this particular podcast, and you might make it on to the next one. But for this particular podcast, I've essentially culled questions from past videos. Okay. Big news that was announced this week was the Vinyl Summit. And I have a cheat sheet here because it is pretty lengthy. Have you heard about the Vinyl Summit?
I have.
So it's something that Chad at Acoustic Sounds has been teasing for quite some time, but we finally got the official details. And by official details, there's a lot of details. Are you going to go to the Vinyl Summit? Let's start off.
I've kicked around the idea. Chadfest was something that was on my radar for the past couple months, and I want to get out there to Salina. I've looked at prices for flights and tickets and all that, but then seeing the press release with VIP packages and stuff, it might be a little...
See, my biggest problem with this, I actually like everything about it other than the fact that it is in Salina, Kansas. I myself would like to go.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go to Salina, Kansas.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, there are 3 concerts. It's going to be an event held in Salina, Kansas at Acoustic Sounds. It's essentially a 40th anniversary celebration of Acoustic Sounds. But they're going to have 3 concerts in Blue Haven Studios, which is their repurposed church/recording space venue. Night number 1 is Jazz Night. Chico Freeman. Night number 2 is Big Mud Morganfield. That's actually Muddy Waters sung. And night number 3 is not in the church. It's at the Stifle Theater, and that's Taj Mahal. So the lineup of music is really good. And the tickets to the show are reasonable. They do have VIP packages, and that have been that's been the buzz of the interwebs.
Were you offered a VIP package?
I got no VIP package for me. I was not offered a VIP package, and I could see why. They're very expensive. So the not even VIP package is $1,700, and that's just one person. You get food vouchers, so you're getting Cajun food on Friday, barbecue on Saturday. You can go to like a direct-to-disc session. You get a tour of the facility without Chad. That is...
Yeah, without Chad. I saw that.
VIP.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. Preferred seating, early access to the record fair. You get a signed concert poster. So they do typically like a weekend-type poster, kind of like a festival poster. And that'll be autographed. That's kind of cool. Merch. You're going to get like a t-shirt, a test pressing of What It Doesn't Say, and coasters. But this is for one person. No VIP package was offered. Were you offered a VIP package?
No. I don't think I'm on their radar yet.
Well, they're having special guests. I'm guessing the 3 special guests are getting the VIP treatment. Michael Fremer, Daryl Wilson, who is the now, owner of Wilson Speakers, and Merrick Mercados, who is the CEO of Hypnosis, who is that's the conglomerate buying up all of the catalogs, music catalogs. Okay. That's a weird guess. I don't know. I'm guessing they're going to have panels. A lot of stuff hasn't been actually announced.
Yeah. Well, I know Fremer hinted on the live stream with Chad that he wants to do a panel with some of the mastering engineers up there and not be, so stuffy where they're only talking about their history as a mastering engineer, but more of like Q&A with the audience, which would be cool. I mean, that would be something that would be worth attending. But
you know how a Q&A with the audience is going to go. It's
Do
going to
you
be like,
remember this
tell
record?
tell me about this Blue Note record you did, Mr. Gray.
Yeah.
Or tell me about the source you. So it's a lot of those questions tend to be questions they don't answer or can't answer or don't remember.
Don't remember, yeah.
But yeah, that tends to be just from experience from the Q&As with the mastering engineers on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's kind of how that goes.
I mean, tickets from here, from Phoenix to Salina, I could stay at the dumpiest motel that's about 1.5 miles away from Analog Productions, and it was like 500-ish bucks.
For the dumpy hotel?
Well, no, with airfare.
Oh, with the airfare.
So, I mean, it's cheap, but like, again, if
where are you flying to, though? So give me the layout of how you would get there from Phoenix.
That's the thing. I'm confused because Expedia makes it sound like I'm flying into Salina, but everybody's saying there's no direct flights there.
Well, there is an airport in Salina. It's like a regional airport.
Okay.
But did Expedia tell you it's a direct from Phoenix to Salina?
It did.
Wow. We might have an advantage.
So I don't know. Yeah, we could go on the cheap, but
how much was the ticket from here to Salina?
I mean, it was airfare and, round trip airfare and hotel was like $510, leaving Wednesday and coming back Sunday, I believe.
So that's not
terrible. But the hotel looked a little iffy.
Yeah, that's
like,
a problem.
It's a little iffy. Like, I would be walking. Like, it wouldn't even warrant having a car necessarily to and from the event.
So you're
yeah, I mean, everybody that's coming in, I think the majority of the VC that wants to come out there is more like a social, like, again, it's an influencer type event. So you would want to go hang out with Nazzy.
It was originally billed as an influencer type event, but I don't think any influencers are going to be there.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I've talked to them.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think the sticker shock for a lot of people, unless you're.
Well, you don't have to do the VIP thing. It's the VIP thing so far has been billed as all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a record fair.
Yeah.
They say they're going to be the best dealers from all around the country, which I personally take umbrage with because I was never contacted. So if you haven't contacted me, are you making an effort to get the best dealers in the country? I don't know. But there's going to be a record fair. I'm guessing the food, like the Cajun food and the barbecue food, you'll be able to buy that. And I guess there's going to be some sort of like, it would make sense for them to open up places for the tour. Like you want to have a tour of the facilities because that's just good advertisement. That's essentially somebody comes to the in-group and says, show me around. They're like, yes, this is where you buy your records.
Yeah.
It's just free advertising. So I'm guessing a lot of that stuff is going to be open. I don't know if you're going to be able to get tours of the mastering sessions. I don't know if they're going to do that type of stuff.
Well,
and
they were saying too, you don't want to overlap things where they're doing tours at the same time as a discussion or something like that, where people have to choose between different things. If you're going to the record fair, you don't want that to overlap with like Q&A maybe, because then you lose part of your audience to one or the other, and people want to do everything.
So far, it seems to me like we have the concept of an idea for this show, but I don't. Granted, it's 5 months away. There's a lot of time. And I mean, maybe I go. If there's a direct flight from here to Salina. Now, I myself am not going to choose the dumpiest hotel in Salina because I feel like you could probably get the best hotel in Salina and it might only be an extra $100.
Right, yeah.
I don't think there's any 5-star. I don't think there's a Bellagio equivalent in Salina.
I wouldn't think so, yeah.
But
I mean, it's been talked about since January? And we're getting it, 5 months before the event is when they put this out there.
Yeah.
It seems like they should have given, especially if they want to get international folks, a little bit more time. But
so we got the record fair, we've got the guests. Now there's some super deluxe packages. Like there's a VIP package. Then there's
you get a foot spa with Chad. That must be massage with Kevin Gray or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't need the mastering engineers. Like I'm sure there'll be other people. Yeah, Matt Luthans will be there.
Nobody else has been announced.
Yeah.
Okay, for the VIP package, okay, that's, what is that, 30s? Oh, that's VIP Select for $1,700. So the true VIP package is $3,700. That includes a hotel, food vouchers, private mastering session, direct-to-disc sessions, pretty much most of the other stuff, artist meet and greet. So you get to meet Taj, Chico Freeman. I would love to see Chico Freeman. That would be a great show on its, by itself. Concierge service. It just says lacquer. Oh, they're going to give lacquers out. Everybody's
What do you think about lacquers?
They're going to give out lacquers. Everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
Then there's a VIP plus one. So for $4,600, you can do it for 2 people. And then there's the deluxe package. This is the Uber VIP for $6,290
per person.
No, that's for 2 people.
Oh, 2 people. Okay.
You get the hotel stay, food voucher, private mat. So it looks like most of all the other. It's just the VIP. Oh no, it's just the. What the hell is it? It looks pretty much exactly the same. $6,300. That's. I mean, I know some wealthy people. I've got some extremely wealthy, customers who are gazillionaires. I don't know if I know anybody that's rich enough to spend $6,300 on this personally. So how it goes, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, again, you got to give kudos to Chad for his hard work all these years and 40 years of all this.
It's a cool event.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be even cooler to just go to the record fair, which is free, buy the food on the side, pay for the concerts. You're $288 for 3 great shows. So you could buy the concerts, you can do that. I'm guessing you're going to get some free tours. It seems to me like that's really the way to do it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at how stripped down I could get and do everything that I wanted.
Yeah, if your airfare $500 with a hotel,
yeah,
say $650 if you don't want to be in Dumpfest, maybe an Uber to and from the hotel. Yeah. I don't know. But if you're in Salina, I'm guessing the hotel to the airport's a reasonable.
Right.
Do they think they have Uber in Salina?
That's a good question.
But
who's are in Salina that can answer these questions for us?
I don't know.
I guess you got to call up the reps there. And
see. And then you could do the concerts, food, maybe buy some stuff. You can probably do it for $1,000, $1,500.
Yeah. And I think the most fun would be to do some of these things, record fair, mastering sessions, tour, and all that, and then just do some side stuff with some of the influencers.
But they need to do, and you can do the panels, I'm sure, for free.
Yeah.
But what they need to do is break down the costs of these other things. I think that would be cool. The concerts have a cost. The record fair has a cost. We know that's free. Food has a cost, obviously.
Yeah.
But what if I want to do just a tour facility or something? So it seems like if they were a little bit more on the nose about exactly what you were getting, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like special guests, I'm guessing we're 5 months out. There's a lot more special guests that will be announced.
Yeah. And like, again, you'd probably want to know ahead of time who's coming. Like there's probably people that have a bucket list of shaking hands with Kevin Gray or somebody like
Fremer,
that.
I'm sure he's on top of your bucket list.
Yeah.
You can meet.
Yeah.
Meet and greet.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll sign autographs for you.
It's quite possible. Bring his comedy album or something like that.
All right, so what's next?
I mean, I guess that kind of would segue into some VC controversy that's been popping up lately and online. YouTube has been some comments back and forth on some high-end Wilson speakers and some people getting thrown in the mud and response videos. And
so there's drama.
There's always
drama.
Is there ever a year where there's no drama? There's always
well,
has
I'm not
to be
in
some
it
drama.
this time personally.
Okay, you're out of it.
So tell me about the latest Michael Fremer drama. So
I think the long and short of it is a YouTube reviewer talked about some high-end Wilson speakers, like $780,000 Wilson speakers, and questioning the cost of the paint job that Wilson charges.
I think it was $114,000.
Correct, for like a pearlescent white color. And just question it as like, this is an astronomical cost. Why is it so expensive? And then there was some comments back to him.
I was kind of having...
You own Wilson speakers, so you should know.
I was having a little PSD personally watching this from afar because I did this with Michael Fremer 4 years ago. And it was kind of interesting to be on the outside looking in.
Right.
So the name of the channel was Jay's Audio Lab. And I guess I don't know all the details yet. I'm somewhat confused because I wasn't really familiar with the channel before this.
Right.
So when you mentioned this to me, I kind of researched it a little bit for this podcast. And Jay's Audio, I don't know if he's a store. Do you know if he has a store?
I don't know if I'm the same as you. Like, I just stumbled across it because there was some back and forth.
From my understanding.
Does reviews of gear.
So he does reviews of gear. He sells stuff. And he has a channel, which is kind of somewhat similar to what I do. But it's weird with equipment. And I will say the first mistake he makes is if you're going to sell equipment by vendor A, you can't shit talk a vendor you don't sell.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just doesn't work. Now, if you're a reviewer, you can get away with it.
Right.
So people always ask my questions on certain gear, and I try to answer things as best I can, but sometimes they'll ask me questions on gear that I don't particularly like, and I just won't answer the question because I think it's a bad look personally to shit talk a piece of gear that you can't sell or you're not selling.
Right.
Just you're not selling.
Right.
Because most salesmen, they're not going to tell you, oh, yeah, the such and such is amazing. I don't sell it. Go buy it, though, from somebody else. So from the outside looking in, that's the reason I've personally never done it that way. I talk about the and you can kind of tell the gear I like personally from the gear I carry.
And you can demo it in the shop. So
you can demo it in the shop. But it's hard to do reviews on gear you don't sell while simultaneously selling other gear. And that's, I think, a point that Fremer made. And that's that's a valid point. I don't want to side with Fremer too much, but that is a valid point.
Yeah. And I don't know, and again, looking at some of the recent videos that he's posted, it almost makes it sound like Wilson may have some beef with him on previous videos that he's done reviewing them. So I don't know if...
Well, he does work the clickbait really good.
Yeah, that is true.
I really myself need to work the clickbait a little bit better. I'm not really good at it myself. I really need to start doing more.
We need to see a title that says store closing, blowout sale, and then you're actually not
I can't
closing,
believe
something like that. Yeah.
I can't believe it's come to this.
Right.
Or this is the end.
Yes.
Or
well, you've done this is the end already.
But that's true. But that was the end.
Right.
It was just my marriage.
Right, exactly.
But it was the end. And oddly enough, it got like 80,000 views. So people dig those. And I don't know. I did a clickbaity video with Music Matters, like Music Matters, the worst label of all time, ? I've done, and they do really well.
Yeah.
And that guy does similar things, you know, is Macintosh, my real thoughts, and you know, those types of videos do really well. But it is, again, as a reviewer or a shop owner / review, it's whatever it is, whatever he is, I'm not 100% sure. It is hard to do reviews on products you do not sell. I don't think it's fair.
Right.
I love Wilson, personally. I don't talk about it too much because I don't sell it. I have some criticism of Wilson, like they are a ginormous pain in the ass to set up. The sweet spot is narrow, but they take an immense amount of time to set up. But I would never say they're terrible speakers or they're not worth the money because stuff like that's so subjective. I guess he had beef with the cost?
Yeah, the cost of the paint job. But then again, if you're spending $780,000 on a set of speakers, who cares? Like, you get the paint job you want and you move on.
Is anybody that's buying $780,000 sets of speakers being, you know what?
Yeah.
I really wanted these speakers, but you know what? I just can't swing it with the $114,000 paint job.
Yeah.
Because you already have $800,000 to spend on speakers.
Right, right. And I think Fremer responded to him in an email and kind of painted the picture on what's involved with the paint job itself, which is insane. I mean, it's a very in-depth, detailed paint job that you're getting. So I don't think that it doesn't warrant the cost when you're at that echelon of speaker. Wilson is the Bugatti of speakers. Bugatti puts a ton of money into their cars. Wilson puts a ton of money into their speakers. So.
And it's funny because Wilson is one of those brands where there's not a lot of female love for Wilson, in my opinion. They don't seem to dig Wilson's look. I personally think it's aesthetically
You can separate them apart from every other speaker. Just from the aesthetic of it.
Aesthetically, and the speaker we're talking about is the autobiography. Aesthetically, it's amazing.
Yeah.
$780,000.
Yeah.
It needs to be amazing.
Right.
But I mean, it looks kind of like it's got a transformer gimmick going on. I mean, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And again, the people that are being targeted for a $780,000 speaker purchase they're not caring about a $114,000 paint job.
Right.
And truth be told, if I have a $780,000 to buy on a speaker and I go into my Wilson dealer and say, you know what, I want this speaker, but you're going to give me that paint job. I bet you they do.
Right.
I bet there's enough juice in that $780,000 speaker to where they would be like, oh, you know what? Sure, you buy it, we'll give you the paint job you want.
Right. And I think it's similar to buying a Rolex. I'm sure there's a wait list. I'm sure there's, vetting of the clientele to a certain degree.
I don't think it's that insane.
No, okay.
No, not for speakers.
I
Maybe.
mean, 780,000 speakers. That maybe
That
like
would be a good gimmick. It does work for Rolex.
Yeah.
But, well, we got to see if you're approved by this speaker.
right.
No, I don't think that's the case. But I do think there is a very small amount of people that are buying a speaker like that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And you probably have plenty of time to think about it too. I mean, it's like,
I say it's under
how
100
long is it going to take
pairs.
to make the speaker? I mean,
Yeah.
months, a
Yeah, if
year,
you're
I
doing
don't
a
know.
custom
They're only
color.
cranking out so many.
I would say probably total run. I'd be curious to ask Daryl, but I would say total run on something like that's maybe 100 speakers.
Right, right.
But he took umbrage with the cost. He took umbrage with the cost of the paint job, and he kind of compared it to, I think he had a problem with what Daryl Wilson said as far as the most accurate speaker ever. And I guess from what I caught looking in was they're talking about the accuracy of the speaker in the time domain. That's the big thing with Wilson. That's why they look goofy, is because they are essentially placing different drivers in an array to where they can align the time of the driver, because
Right.
a high frequency driver, high frequencies travel at a faster speed than bass frequencies, for instance. I guess that's the theory.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer, but that's the theory, and they are able to work with each individual driver in the time domain, and I guess that's what he was referring to.
But then you have to go down the rest of the chain of the system too. I mean, between cables, amplifier, turntable, and all that, you would have to think that would all have to be maxed out before you're going to a $780,000
Oh, the
set
guys
of
who are buying
speakers.
$780,000 have,
Yeah,
they've got a good system.
Yeah.
It sounds tasty, I'm sure.
right.
But that was kind of what Daryl Wilson, I guess, was talking about, and Michael Fremer got into it. And it was kind of funny because just like I had the issue with the lacquer video back in the day, it was the same thing. He made a video, Fremer chimed in the comments, and Fremer made the classic mistake that he needs to stop making, which is don't attack the random viewers in the comments. That's never going to work because there's a lot more viewers in the comments than there are you, and you're going to be pelted from 15,000 different directions. But
And once it gets more eyes on it, more people are going to come in
yeah,
to
and then
view
it just
drama.
then it blows up.
Yeah, and then it will blow. All this stuff blows over eventually. It's just a matter of.
But it would turn into like he made a video and then Fremer commented, and maybe Fremer posted something on his Facebook, and then he made another follow-up video.
Yeah.
And the last video I thought was the best. The last video Jay made, he's like, well, really, I want all this drama to stop. It's not good for anybody. And I was watching that on my way to get a sandwich, thinking to myself, you know what? It actually is good because your videos are just chugging views.
Right,
so
exactly. How many new subscribers have you got
it's like,
off this?
it's like, don't hose me, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I know this works.
Right.
And it does. So it was an interesting back and forth.
I don't think they're going to do a debate video hosted by Chad, though. I don't think it's going to get to that
It's not going to get to that. Well, I think
But that was, again,
I don't think that worked out well for Fremer the last time around. So I don't see him as... Actually, he responded to him. Jay did a third video, and he responded to him and said that he was going to pass on the video idea. Like, cause
they were going to collaborate, yeah.
Fremer's like, no.
Yeah.
I think he's learned his lesson on that.
Yeah.
Not going to do that anymore. But I will say I agree with some of what Fremer said on this. I don't like to sum it up, I don't like a sales guy bad talking. And I mean, I guess I did it with ERC, but that was more of a quality issue. Like I had visible...
From almost like a consumer standpoint. You weren't carrying them in the shop,
but
you wanted to see what the customer was getting or potentially getting.
And it turned out to be terrible.
Yeah.
And it was more like documented live on camera.
Right.
Like, here's a brand new white stripes marker. Oh, wait. Why is there Sharpie on it? You know,
Right.
it was like...
And again, you weren't saying that everybody's getting this, but if one person's getting it, you have to assume it's happening to other people.
But it turned out in hindsight, a lot of people had Sharpie on their white stripes record, as we now discovered. But the back and forth, and we're not going to have a Chad. What would they call it? The Battle of the Mics was...
I think something that
was
I
my
forget. It was
debate.
like a boxing event that...
The Battle of the Mics, yeah.
I mean, that was post-COVID or during COVID, and I think everybody was glued to their computers for the back and forth. Your response video, his response video, and then Chad stepping in to do that.
Wild times back then. It was a crazy... COVID was a crazy time because we had that, and then it was like MoFi happened right afterwards. It was a wild year. But I will say, I don't know. Another weird thing is, I don't know why Fremer responds, period. Why does a reviewer take up the defense of, he did it with ERC. Like, what does it matter? Why does a reviewer...
I mean, I think from his side of things, he's probably assuming that ERC and Wilson aren't going to go on YouTube and respond to people directly. And I think he is a big fan of the Wilson speakers and their business, you know, their
And so am
business
I.
and
I
all
mean,
that. Yeah.
Fremer has Wilsons. I have Wilsons.
Right.
They're great speakers.
Right.
I'm wondering if Wilson needs defense from a guy on YouTube throwing. I don't know if the guy's spending $1 million on a set of speakers or watching YouTube videos. Maybe they are. I would be curious to know. I'd be curious to know if they're doing that. So do they need defense? I guess he's defending them. Yeah, I guess you're right. Do they need defense though?
I don't think much is going to change. I think, again, everybody has their business model and what they create, and it's up to them and up to the consumer whether they want to buy it or not. If they don't, they can pass. But
yeah, YouTube has definitely been weird, and it's weird to watch how it's developed over the last 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody, myself included, just can show up with a camera and a microphone, and all of a sudden they have an audience. But yeah, that whole debacle, reading in on it, I feel like there was some things that could have gone better from both sides.
Right, and I've even heard people's advice when they're on YouTube social media is don't read the comments, just move on. Like, there's people that create videos, but then again, I'm sure there's people that are glued to their comment section and respond to every single positive or negative comment.
Yeah.
But I think it can grate on people.
Okay, so the last story in the music news section is the new Rhino Hi-Fis were announced this week. So it was Dusty in Memphis, Dusty Springfield. Now they're all out now. You can get them direct from Rhino Hi-Fi. The way their business model is they make it exclusive to them for a while, and then a lot of times they end up coming into retail shops. But Dusty in Memphis, this next one, that didn't surprise me. Did that surprise you, Dusty in Memphis?
No, it didn't surprise me, but
it seems like a good rule of thumb is anything that Analog Productions has done is a prime contender.
Or MoFi.
Yeah, is a prime contender for the Rhino Hi-Fi series if it's a Rhino title.
Right.
And that was an Analog Productions title. It seems smart for them to do it as a 33. Cher, 3614 Jackson Highway was like...
Yeah, that was the one that I think threw
me off.
Yeah.
And then Joni Mitchell, Court and Spark, which I'm not a Joni Mitchell fan, but that record will sell. Everybody... The audiophiles eat up Joni Mitchell. And Bernie Grunman's done a lot of the mastering on...
Yeah, didn't he handle her catalog exclusively?
And truth be told, everybody calls me a Kevin Gray fan, but I want the Kevin Gray cut of that. If I'm going to buy one, I want the Kevin Gray cut of it. Plus, it's going to be the better cover. Do you have any idea what's on that Cher record?
No, but I mean, everything that I've heard from people that know that record, it's a very funky kind of Cher record that has flown under the radar, and I don't think it's had any sort of audiophile or reissue treatment. But
reissue, period.
Yeah. I mean, for me, again, the 3 titles, the consensus in Facebook groups and things like that, everybody, again, it's an easy pass on all of them. I mean, I think
even
there was...
Dusty in Memphis?
Yeah. I think, again, between having the 45 previously on AP, then the reissue on 45 recently for the Atlantic,
I guess
there's burnout. I think there's a lot of people
I guess people just aren't on board with my way of thinking, to where if I have an opportunity to get like a Kevin Gray cut 33 RPM, like that's going to replace my 45 RPM. Right. I don't need it. That's an amazing record. Right. I don't need it as a 45 RPM.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be able to buy as a consumer a lot of my 45 RPMs on Future Whatnot, because that's what I've been doing with them. A lot of the Music Matters 45s I purged, a lot of the Acoustic Analog Productions 45s. I just don't have the patience for it, unless it's monumentally better. And I just don't know if if that record will be monumentally better as a 45 versus a 33.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good record to do a shootout for sure, between the 45 and the 33. Yeah. But I think, again, just the titles that have been coming out from Rhino Hi-Fi, we all know the jacket's going to be great, the mastering is going to be great, the record pressing is going to be great, but between the shipping issues that they've had to consumers and titles that aren't exciting people, again, I commented yesterday on the post that was put out for this saying, I feel like some of these labels are almost trolling the VC at this point, between a Lionel Richie DSS one step.
Oh, I thought that's
Cher,
great.
Like,
you didn't like the Lionel? Okay, so this is the thing.
Who's the clientele these people are going for? Because
the thing is, though, everybody bitches endlessly that it's the same records repetitively, over and over and over. Why don't we get something new? Well, now we're finally getting something new and everybody's complaining. So what's the complaint with Dusty? You just mentioned it. There's burnout with Dusty Springfield. There's burnout with Joni Mitchell. But then who the hell's going to buy the Cher? Granted, I don't think the Cher is going to be a home run. But
I think more people will be interested.
There's no competition with the Cher.
Right.
Because there's no other options.
Right.
And that's a tough record to find an original of.
Yeah.
Really hard to find. And then let alone find it clean. So if you're a Cher fan...
How many audiophile Cher fans do you know?
I don't know of any. I myself would be down with Sonny and Cher.
Yeah.
I could do a little The Beat Goes On as a Rhino Hi-Fi if that's an option.
It could be in the can.
Maybe Gypsy Tramps and Thieves. That was kind of a fun record.
Yeah.
I actually have this record. I don't know if I've ever listened to it.
Yeah.
But I do own this record. Are you buying any of the three?
I'm not. I've passed on a lot of the Rhino Hi-Fi titles the last couple rounds. Working Man's Dead, passed on that.
Yeah,
a lot. I want to, at this point, with my space constraints in my record room, I'm going for stuff that I'm going to.
Now, do you have Dusty in Memphis?
No, but I will probably be getting that at some point. I'll probably wait until it comes into the shop because, again, shipping for me has been hit or miss. I think they have even cut off shipping to the UK, if I remember correctly, which a lot of people are kind of chuffed about. But
I myself, wait on all of them to come into the store because then I know they're going to be ding-free, perfect.
Right.
I don't have to pay for shipping. Obviously, I'm a dealer, so I get it a little bit cheaper. I don't care if it's numbered. A lot of people seem to, it's got to, I don't give two shits about the number.
Yeah,
you can't see the number anyway if you keep the if you keep the Obi on it.
Yeah.
I will get Dusty in Memphis, replace my Analog Productions. I'll probably get the Cher. I don't know why I don't know why, because I have the original. I've never listened to it. Okay, so I'm going to get the Dusty in Memphis. I'm probably going to pass on the Cher, and I'll pass on the Joni Mitchell. I have got an original of the Joni Mitchell. I don't like Joni Mitchell, but it's one of those artists that I've kept because maybe I'll like it in the future.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure, but if I like it in the future, I have an original. So that's kind of my thinking. But I guess you can order all of them right now from Rhino Hi-Fi. Yeah. I'll wait on the Dusty in Memphis. But the Dusty in Memphis for me is a home run. That's an amazing record. It'll replace the 45 RPM.
Did you get the Working Man's Dead reel-to-reel that came out?
I did. And I don't even like the Grateful Dead. But I have such a twisted... I'm such a big reel-to-reel fan. Actually, my ATR is on the Fritz. So I don't even have a way to play it. Technically, I know I got the Atari in there. But... I got to get that reel-to-reel sorted out. So I'm such a big fan of reel-to-reel. And they're only, and they've come out in the past and said they're only going to continue this if it's wildly successful. I'm literally buying reel-to-reels
to keep it going,
to try to perpetuate it, to keep it going. Because the 3 titles they've done so far, if there was infinite amounts of reel-to-reels, but they're reasonably priced too. Yeah. They're $300.
Right.
Versus 500, which you typically pay. But I'm doing it more so to just perpetuate reel-to-reels for when something that I really want comes out.
Right.
But they've committed to just these 3. So Patrick Milligan, who is the CEO of Rhino, or the top dog at Rhino, has said they're doing the 2 and they've got 1 more in the future that's going to come. And depending on how those sell, there could be more in the future. So I'm guessing the 1 in the future was the Grateful Dead, and then the 2, the T-Rex and the Yes. I did a review on the channel of the 2. The T-Rex I haven't done a review on, or the Working Man's Dead. It just came in maybe 2 days ago. I don't even like the Grateful Dead, but like.
But if you have a chance to get a reel-to-reel of almost anything now,
maybe LA Woman is down the pipe, or
if they did Black Sabbath, that would be
they got the tape.
Huge.
They could do Black Sabbath. There's some stuff they could do. I would just be crazy for, and So my thinking is it's an investment in the possibility of future reel-to-reels by buying this one.
Right, right.
Okay, so let's switch to the talk music segment. So this is non-news related stuff. And I'll start off with a pickup. So this is kind of a convoluted story. You might be familiar with this. Easy Street Records in Seattle got in a collection of records from a guy who collected the Velvet Underground Nico cover. And he had like hundreds of them. Not reissues, but like originals. Torso covers, monos, promos, sealed copies, you name it. I found out from it, Mazzy's, actually, I think you might have texted me
From
on it too.
Mazzy, yeah.
But from Mazzy,
Yeah.
you found out from Mazzy and then you text me. So I contacted Easy Street. They're not interested in mailing these things out. They're like, we want these for our locals, which I get because I'm the same way. I've put very few used records on the website. I want to give the locals first crack. I don't think there's a universe where one city can gobble up 100 Velvet Underground high, multi-$1,000 records. So at some point, I'm feeling they're going to be needing to open those up to shipping. Mm-hmm. But Mazzy, I called Mazzy up, and I'm a huge fan of the album. I collect the record. I've got 100 of them myself in various conditions. But I contacted Mazzy. I'm like, hey, you want to go there and buy a couple for me? And he's like, yeah, I can be there in 30 minutes. So Mazlov, who has a channel on YouTube, Mazzy's Music or something on it. Is it Mazzy Music? I think it's Mazzy's Music. You probably know who I'm talking about. He gets in his little dainty car. I think he's
GTI.
got a Golf GTI. Gets in his dainty car, goes on over there, and we're FaceTiming, and he bought a couple of records for me. One is this. Now, they weren't giving these things away, but I got this sealed copy of the Velvet Underground and Nico. Left their post sticker on. I paid $3,000 for it. No deals. $3,000. This is the third pressing, essentially, without the airbrush torso cover. And I also got a torso cover, but there's some issues with it. It wasn't a true torso cover because somebody peeled the sticker off. Like Butcher covers, the censored. So the first pressing is the torso cover. The second pressing is the censored cover. And the third pressing is what I just showed you. But a lot of people will take that sticker and peel it off. They steam it off or peel it off, just like they did Butcher Slicks. So it wasn't a true torso, but I contacted Easy Street Records and they took it back. So this is the only one that I got from that collection. But it was a cool find. I don't have a sealed one. Obviously, they're thousands of dollars, so that's why I don't have a sealed one. But I bought this one. I sent the other one back. If I was local, though, I think I would have ended up with a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it's probably good that I'm not local.
Wasn't he a fan of the collector, Warhol? Didn't he have a Warhol signed?
I think he had one of these that were signed, didn't he? But it was like...
It was that, or it was
Sticky Fingers.
Yeah, that's
what
it was.
$10,000.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what a Warhol signature goes for. I don't think it's that much.
Yeah.
I've seen soup cans. Warhol was a prolific signer. He did sign a lot. From what I hear, he was a real friendly guy. And he was constantly out and about, and he was signing soup cans endlessly. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if he signed a ton of records. I've never seen a ton of records. Yeah. But that record signed by Warhol, I'd be all over it. But I don't know for $10,000 if I would be a fan. Do you have any copies of this record?
I have the third press with the banana on it, but not sealed, obviously. The disc is, again, like you've told me in the past, the disc is not important. It's really the jacket condition.
It's really about the jacket with that record. It is more... I mean, that was Andy Warhol's pitch to MGM originally. They're like, you know what? You don't like this band. I know you think they're crap, which is funny looking back on it because now we think of the Velvet Underground as so groundbreaking. But at the time, nobody liked them. They didn't sell very many records, and it was just more of like a pet project for Andy Warhol. And one of his pitches to MGM was like, well, I'm going to design the cover, and you can sell Andy Warhol artwork. It just happens to include this record by the Velvet Underground. So that kind of was the pitch. But this guy who was collecting them in Seattle, that was kind of his way of collecting. It was like more of an art play versus a music play. He was collecting art. So,
and that's kind of how you look at it as well. You look at it as
well. I love the record too.
A great record, and
it's weird when I contacted. I ended up speaking to the owner of Easy Street, and he heard like a guy from Phoenix who owns a store. He had no idea who I was, but he's like, "You're buying these to sell?" I'm like, "No. Like, I collect these. So he was really like wanting to make sure that these were going to collectors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I got 100 of these things myself. Uh, he's a big, the guy who owns Easy Street had Lou Reed there, I guess, perform, which is cool. I wish I could swing that myself. I don't really have a space for it there, but that'd be cool. But he had Lou Reed perform. He hung out with him a day, so he kind of was like sentimental in a way almost with these records. He didn't want to see somebody just flipping them, which I'm like, no, I'm keeping it.
Well, it's interesting too, because that same shop a couple months ago had that Butcher cover with the inverted slick, where they put the slick on the back, so you had a fresh First State on the front, the slick on the back, and I think that ended up going to Jack White out of Nashville.
It was like 20 grand.
25 grand, something like that.
That's a cool piece.
It is really, just for the.
You are definitely gonna, being on the West Coast, so Seattle, LA, you're just gonna have amazing stuff coming in. Now there's a lot more record stores than there are compared to Phoenix.
Yeah.
But like that is where amazing collections are gonna come in, and this collection at like 200 Velvet Underground Nicos is an amazing collection.
Right.
It is. The words once in a lifetime get used a lot, but it's like once in a lifetime for any store.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if any other store at any point in time will ever have 200 Velvet Underground Nico covers strolling.
Oh, yeah. Just the social media aspect of it, seeing an entire wall covered in.
Oh, if it was me, I would have just made endless videos of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they made a lot of videos of it. Mazzy made some videos of it. It was a cool thing. And I'm glad I got one of them. One of the cool things about records is you always remember, like, the story of where you got it. If it's a real cool record, like I've got a terrible memory, but I can like pull records off the shelf and I know where like thousands of records came from. I don't know how the hell that's possible. I don't know if are you that way? Am I just like,
there's some that you can remember. Again, stuff like this that's iconic and you're never going to see again. It sticks with you more than the random record that you may have seen at a record fair or something. But especially that's, again, part of the hunt is the stuff that sticks with you too, and finding this stuff and keeping it in the collection.
Have you seen any concerts lately?
Yeah, we both had the pleasure of seeing David Byrne. My first time seeing him here in Phoenix.
That was my third.
Your third.
What'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. It was a good crowd. I was more, not nosebleeds, but I was way further back than you were.
Now, could you see me?
I could see you, yes. The reflection from your head was
shining in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah. I could see that.
It looked like hell trying to get up there and navigating through how tight they had the seats in the GA section.
I swear to God, either I'm getting significantly fatter as I get older or the seats are shrinking because they're really packing them tight. And the thing is with these kinds of concerts that are targeting people who are like in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they tend to be on the portlier side as opposed to some concerts who might be geared towards 18-year-olds or 16-year-olds. So the fact that they keep making these seats smaller, it was a little bit of an issue. I pulled a muscle, actually, at that concert.
Lovely.
Crawling over the second row to the front row seat. It was tough.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great. I thought the crowd was great because you saw a lot of fathers and sons going, and the kids were just as excited as their parents were to see David Byrne. And, it was funny, too, because he told the crowd at the very beginning, there's going to be some songs that you want to dance to. Feel free to dance, in the aisles or wherever you want. And as soon as any Talking Head songs came on, everybody stood up. And you could hear everybody behind them groaning of like, sit down, sit down. And then eventually just everybody stood up and was having a great time. But it was that the idea that you're going to sit the entire time for a concert that makes you want to dance, it's just not going to happen.
Is that bizarre for you? Because you go to a lot of, like you've gone to Billie Eilish, you'll go to like concerts, fresh new bands.
Yeah.
Is it weird for you going to something like going from Billie Eilish to David Byrne, where there's a 60-year age gap?
I mean,
because they're not sitting down at a Billie Eilish show.
No, and I was in the GA for that. I try and get GA for as many shows just because it feels like you're in a smaller environment the closer you are in standing room. But no, I thought it was great. I mean, even going to see Pet Sounds live, towards the end of Brian's touring of that.
Did you see that show?
I saw it at the Celebrity Theater.
Okay. I saw it with Chicago opening up.
Yeah, I don't remember who opened for them, but it was I had a great time because again, he was at the end of his career. He wasn't in the best of health. Everybody there was having a great time. I
Yeah.
mean, I took my dad, he's a long
And
time
when you say
Beach
you went
Boy.
to see Brian Wilson, you literally just went to see Brian Wilson because he didn't really sing or play anything,
Yeah.
did he? He just kind of sat there like this.
Yeah,
Because that's what he did at the show I saw.
he sang and he played the
Oh, he
piano, but
sang.
he was, there was a lot of backing vocals and,
Throughout
more
the
energy.
last 20 years, he definitely had his moments to where sometimes he sat at the piano, sometimes he meandered off stage,
Yeah.
but sometimes he got into
There were
it.
some breaks,
Yeah.
he would take a break and then come back.
But for
he
me,
had-
the band was so killer that
Yeah.
it didn't matter. 'Cause
Right.
It was, oddly enough, the Beach Boys were the very first concert I've ever seen. It was
Okay.
when I was 11 years old. My best friend was a big fan of Kokomo, which was new at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we went until they played Kokomo, and then we left. But that was my very first experience. It was an
Yeah.
outdoor, on the beach, inflatable balls going around. It was a
Right.
mind-boggling experience because I've never
Yeah.
been to a concert. But
Right. Well, my dad told me two stories, both of which when he lived in Wickenburg as a kid, he wanted to go see the Beatles in California
Mhm.
and Beach Boys. And he didn't make it to either one of those because he was so young, again, trying to
yeah, it's
drive
hard.
to California as a kid in the 60s.
Not a lot of touring going on in Wickenburg.
No,
No.
nothing was coming through there. I don't know where the where the venue of choice would have been for him, but I think that was a bucket list thing for me to take him to that show. Even though, again, it's not the same Beach Boys you're going to hear back then, but hearing all the songs, all the hits
So
off Pet Sounds.
The Dave Byrne show was great. It was
Yeah.
my third shot. I really dug it. I took Alicia, my girlfriend, to it, who, I mean, she absolutely hemmed and hollered the whole time. She did not want to go. She tried getting out of it as much as possible. Hey,
Yeah.
have you thought about taking your son? What about Leland? Why don't you take Leland? I'm like, well, he already has tickets. Well, maybe he wants better tickets. Or, we'd be at the store. Hey, what about that guy over there? He looks like he could go. But she finally went and actually really liked it.
Yeah.
I was kind of, and I don't know if she's going to be listening to Talking Head stuff on the side,
Mm-hmm.
but she was a fan. You know what was the weirdest thing? What she was a fan of? She was a fan of a lot of the new songs, which
Interesting.
is not typically when you go to a concert from like a legend who plays a lot of old
Right.
hits that people are
Right.
familiar with. Most people are like, you know what? I really like all the new stuff.
Yeah. Well, I went into it pretty dry and just knowing the Talking Heads catalog and not so much any of his newer stuff. But between the visuals of it, the performing of it, nonstop, I mean, they were just cranking through the songs.
It's great.
And
He's
got it.
He's still like, he sings
right.
pretty much identical to in the 80s.
Yeah.
He's very, he works out. He goes to
Yeah.
every city. He tours with his bicycle. After the show, I went over there and I tried getting an autograph with no luck. But I watched, he himself loaded his bicycle into the tour bus, so he travels with,
Yeah.
so you could tell he's in peak health, and the show kind of, it looks like it.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I even mentioned this to you is like with how much that crowd was into Talking Heads stuff.
Yeah.
And I know Coachella tried to get them years ago and offered them just a boatload of cash.
Did you?
Like, I think that would be one of the biggest reunion shows, even if you got one. I know they got together for Colbert or some show like that.
I myself cannot stand Coachella because I don't like festivals, but that would be the show that would drag me to the desert to go to a festival.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the Coachella?
I did. I make it a point every April to strap myself to the couch for an entire weekend.
So they live stream the whole thing?
The whole thing.
But now,
so, well, they stagger it. So the early stuff, because the gates open at 11 a.m. And then that's when the music starts, and they basically go until midnight, 1 a.m. So they don't start the live stream until 4, which is good because that's more of the mainstream acts that you can see. But it's such a big production now on YouTube. You have 4 multi-streams going at the same time. They have like 12 different stages that you can choose from. They have the schedule announced.
They delete all that though after the fact, don't they? Because I went back and tried to find it, and
they'll leave some clips up,
but
for
not
some
the
of
whole
not
shows.
the whole thing. So you'll have, but they restream it. So if it's live Friday night, they'll restream all of Friday through Saturday at 4 p.m.
Because like I went after the fact, looking for instance, Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
The only thing that's online is The Passenger.
Right.
I couldn't see anything else.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I make it a point every year because it's as close to being there as you can get. It's free. The stream's 4K. It's great audio. You can crank the sound up as loud as you want. Yeah, I watch it every year. So I went 3 years in a row. I went 2013, 14, and 15, and I camped, and it was great.
Who'd you go with?
I went with a bunch of buddies.
So you all just camped?
We all traveled together. We camped next to each other.
What did the tickets back then cost?
I mean, I think it was for the camping and the festival pass. I want to say it was like $600, $600 or $700 to do it. A person, yeah.
What is it now for something like that?
It's probably around that or a bit more. I haven't looked, to be honest, but I mean, they do layaway packages, you do payment plans, you do all this different stuff. So again, it sells out every year. It's insane. I mean, getting 100,000+ people in and out of that venue every day, back-to-back weekends, and then they take a week break, and then they do Stagecoach, which is the country version of Coachella. So those polo grounds, and then they're also doing an EDM festival in October of this year at the camp, or at the polo grounds.
I'll check it out next year.
It's a lot of fun. I mean,
I assumed I'm not going to check it out like there. I'll stream it.
Right.
But I was under the impression I could go back after the fact and watch the show. And I found out that is not the case. So I missed everything.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, there was even bands that you don't know. That's the one, part of the joy of going to Coachella is the bands you never heard of before, or have like all this. Yeah, you go to them and you're like, wow, this was great. Devo performed, which was awesome. Seeing Devo, right? And then I think in between weeks they came into Phoenix and
I missed it.
Performed
I meant
here.
to go to that show, but I screwed that up.
So Jack White was the surprise guest the first week. He played in a smaller tent. He usually headlines, blew the roof off that. That was a great performance. Even the mainstream people that I don't listen to all the time, like Sabrina Carpenter, her stage production was insane. I mean, it's like she had Susan Sarandon. They did a montage 1 week. She had Susan Sarandon the first week, and then the second week was who's the other actress from the movie?
I have no clue.
You know this movie.
What movie?
The two women driving across the country in the convertible.
Oh, Thelma and Louise?
Thelma and Louise. Yeah. Gina, that's the actress.
Have you seen Sabrina Carpenter live?
I've never, other than on Coachella, no.
No, but it was a good show?
It was, the production was great. So it was fun watching that, the bigger acts, and then everybody was online talking about Justin Bieber's watching himself, his old YouTube videos, pulling up the laptop.
That was and I heard he got $10 million for that.
Yeah, he got paid.
It's a good gig.
Yeah.
Okay, so record store day. You pick some stuff up. Show me what you got.
Yeah, so I was in line. What time did I get in line at? 6 o'clock-ish. My favorite pickup from record store day, and this was on my list of things, was the Dada. I had never listened to one track of this album. I had the first album that was released, the prior record.
How does this compare with Puzzle? What'd you think?
I like this a lot better.
You like this better than Puzzle?
This was great. This had a lot of, early, mid to late 90s vibes on it. There was, a little Radiohead type sound to it on some tracks. Vinyl sounded great. I think I've listened to this 3 or 4 times since I got it. It was awesome. So
that was for record store day. That was your favorite pickup.
This was my favorite pickup. Just again, it's one of those things too. You kind of stumble into. You're not.
Yeah.
I went to get this album for sure.
I at this point still haven't listened to much record store day stuff. It was such a massive undertaking just putting on record store day.
Yeah.
You get burnt out. Like I don't. Like I listen to some stuff. I listen to the Doors. I listened to the Talking Heads. I listened to the Miles release.
Yeah.
But I got stuff sitting over there that I still need to get to and listen to.
Yeah. It's fun every year. I mean, again, and it's interesting too, seeing the dynamic between shops. Like your shop, crazy line, regardless of who. I mean, Taylor Swift obviously had a 7-inch this year, so there's a ton of Swifties coming out for that. But other shops, they're struggling to get inventory. They're not selling hardly anything. I don't know if it's more of the advertising for it or where they're located.
It is a monumental learning curve. Because do you remember, were you at my first record store day?
Yeah, every one.
Where I had like 30 copies of Sharknado 5?
Yeah.
And I had those 30 copies of Sharknado 5 for like 8 years. There's a learning curve. Bottom line is there's a learning curve.
Yeah.
What to order, how to pitch it, how to advertise it, how to run it, how to display it. bands, no bands, food, no food. It's a monumental learning curve.
Yeah.
And it takes some time. And a lot of record stores are relatively new. One thing about record stores in general, most record stores haven't been open for 20 years. Most record stores are 2, 3, 4 years. Now, there are record stores that stay for a long time. But most record stores come and go, and there's kind of a learning curve with it. So, and it was a painful learning curve for me. A costly one, actually.
Yeah. Over-ordering, under-ordering, and not if you don't have a website to sell afterwards. Like, you're stuck with inventory for
it's a monster pain.
Long.
What else you picked up lately?
I picked up the Billie Eilish live album.
Is this on Eco Vinyl?
This is on Eco Vinyl.
Now, how does it sound?
It blew me away with how good it sounds. It's not cut low like her last album.
Really? So sonically fantastic.
Sonically, really well. Yeah.
Let me see this thing.
Yeah, I think it was Joni Hernandez mastered it.
Maybe this is, I don't know. Is this one-time pressing on recycled vinyl?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is different than the injected molded vinyl they did last time.
Yeah. But I saw this tour, so it was really cool to have a very similar concert experience on vinyl. I haven't been to the 3D concert that James Cameron, the movie that they came out with in 3D, which this is tied to. But yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised with that. And I also scratched my head too. It's a topic that we could go into another time, but some of these big artists get no-name mastering engineers to do their first, big album, and it sounds terrible. And then they come out with a 3rd anniversary, 4th anniversary, and then finally somebody gets it that does something with it. Like Levi Seitz did the 1st anniversary version of this, and it sounds so much better.
Of what album?
Of
this
the
album?
Hit Me Hard and Soft. Not the live one, but the commercial release.
So I'll have to pick that up because that record
They may be taking notes from prior.
That record sounded so terrible
was
that
bad.
I auctioned it off on Whatnot. I think I got $9 for it. I'm like, it's terrible, but if you want it, here it is. So I still don't have this record in my collection. And I like Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
But it was unlistenable.
Yeah.
So,
and me going from, seeing the entire album release in Dolby Atmos in a movie theater to picking up the vinyl and then having to crank it and all I hear is surface noise on it.
What was that like for you? Was it good?
It was, it was...
It was terrible.
So, like I told you, stream it. That's the best way to hear it.
And that's what I did. I sold the record and then I just streamed it.
Yeah.
Which I can't do at the house. I don't own any type of streaming.
Right.
So it was terrible. Okay, so you picked up the Blink 182, it looks like.
Yeah, this was a birthday present. I got this as a birthday present.
Who gave it to you?
My mom, actually.
Wow, how'd she know to get, like, how?
I don't know. I maybe sent her a link to some website to order it from is something because buying vinyl records for people can be very difficult. Like, unless you're specific with an exact pressing that you want, it can become difficult. But this is the first DSS title that I've owned, and it was great. I love the box style of it. Super quiet vinyl. Brings me back to my high school days of listening to Blink 182. Kind of off the beaten path for DSS, as far as bands go. But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They're doing titles now that have never been done as audiophile records.
But somebody that's buying this, I don't think they're going to be picking up the Lionel Richie. It's a different demographic.
I bet you that Lionel Richie sounds great, though.
It probably does.
I need that Lionel Richie, folks. If anybody wants to mail it to me, I don't own a copy. You know what they need to do with this album? I have a problem every time. I'm not a Blink 182 fan.
Yeah. The cover, this was a fun opening experience with my kids. So I opened this at lunch with my family and pulled this out, and the kids looked at it kind of funny, and it's like, Dad, what are you listening to?
She was a porno star, wasn't she?
I don't know the whole history of...
The girl in the front might have been like a soft...
It would make sense.
But the fact that it's missing the Red Cross drives me nuts. They need to include like Red Cross stickers on every pressing of that record.
Was it to ensure that nobody consults her for medical advice or something? Like
it was. I think it was like a lawsuit type of thing.
Oh.
They used.
So find the unairbrushed covers.
Like if you look for first pressing CDs of that, it has the Red Cross on the hat.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think it needs to come with a sticker.
Yeah.
It always looks off to me every time I see it without the Red Cross.
Yeah, I mean the packaging was great. The only thing, as this deluxe thing goes when it's all analog is just see and copy the master tapes and better liner notes. It just has a generic little slip-in insert that the standard release would have.
So I haven't picked up the Beach Boys is going to be the first one that I have. I got the test pressing of it. I roughly listened to it, but I'm going to pick up the Lionel Richie and I'm going to pick up the Nat King Cole. The REM is sold out. I'm definitely getting more selective on what I pick up. All right, so let's go to segment 3, which is question and answers, because I don't really have very many questions. Again, if you want to participate in the future, go ahead and leave some questions in the comments below. Okay, let me grab the sheet here. The first question is from A.A. Alfonso, 1981. Are you reading things wrong on purpose? I'm guessing Alfonso is referring to my new arrival videos. I get asked that a lot because I get corrected a lot as well. Sometimes I kind of will mispronounce something and it's so funny that even when I get corrected or I really know the name, I stick with it. Like, I still to this day like to call Kylie Minogue Kylie Meningue because I think it's funny at this point. But
are there certain titles that you have a harder time pronouncing than others? Hip
hop, doom metal, because they write in symbols. Like, I can't read this shit. I have no idea what this stuff says. And I'm doing it on the fly. So a lot of times I'm seeing these records for the very first time.
Right.
And maybe reading comprehension wasn't my strong suit. I don't know. So it is what it is. If you're offended, I apologize. Okay.
Are they correcting you in the comments? Are they spelling it out for you so you know?
The PC police is so enforced in the comments. They're phonically spent. They love commenting. People love, on YouTube, people love to correct people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to go back on the end of this video and watch it and just watch all the corrections. You did this wrong. You did that wrong. You should do this better. Okay. Greg Newman, F1V. Have I ever bought a concert ticket specifically to see the opening band? Have you ever bought a concert ticket?
Yeah, I think there was one time when I bought a ticket to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Strokes were opening for them. And the Strokes never come. I stayed for, a quarter of the set for Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I'd seen them before. Anthony Kiedis was in a cast and just hobbling around. It was at the Cardinal Stadium, and I was on the floor, and I'm like, I haven't seen the Strokes in 15 years.
You wanted to see
I wanted to see him again. And yeah, that was probably one where the opening act was bigger to me.
I've only done it one time. I went and saw Hall & Oates, but I went for the opener, which was Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. And I knew Sharon Jones was sick at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have long to go. She's since passed. But I wanted to see Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. I like Hall & Oates, but I don't know if I would have went outdoors in the summer.
Yeah.
Because it was like an August show.
Right.
To see Hall & Oates. It was Trombone Shorty was the first opener, Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, and then Hall & Oates. I will say most bands nowadays don't put talented front ends up anymore. The concept of the opener over showing the lead act, they kind of don't do that anymore. But Hall & Oates, to their credit, they put a fierce couple of bands on the list, with Trombone Shorty and then Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. And then Daryl Hall proceeded to come on stage and for about 10 songs have a meltdown. He had like a special air conditioning unit on stage,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't facing at him properly, and then they weren't singing together.
Oh.
So it was like, rather than beautiful Hall & Oates harmonies, which they're great at, there was like a 3-second delay. By the end of the show, it was on point. It was great by the end of the show, but in the beginning, it was some rough sledding. But the Sharon Jones was amazing.
Yeah.
It's a good show. Okay. So that is podcast episode number 1. Again, put future questions in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.